everyone. Thanks a lot for staying with us. You're watching Plain Speak with me, Shivani Gupta. The debate on Uniform Civil Code has intensified. Just hours after the Prime Minister made the biggest UCC pitch publicly, several opposition parties have slammed the BJP for raising this ahead of both Madhya Pradesh, where he was, and general elections in 2024. The All India Muslim Personal Law Board held one of its first meetings to discuss UCC last evening. They've once again strongly opposed the idea. This issue ideally should not be seen from the prism of Muslims alone. After all, a new codified law will be applicable to all similarly. That's the precise idea of a UCC. But the staunchest opposition to UCC always comes from Muslim quarters. And that's why the debate always gets skewed towards one community. Not only AIM-PLB, but the other only party to do a full press conference on this issue yesterday was the AIMIM, where Asaduddin Owaisi raised the same old diatribe about how UCC is anti-Muslim. Precisely what the PM had warned about, how Muslims are being scared in the name of UCC. Regardless, the process has now kick-started again, with the Law Commission seeking public responses. Opinions of various stakeholders are still pending, and once they are received, the panel will deliberate on the various aspects and the possibility of UCC implementation. Now the ball is very much in the court of the central government, and they cannot backtrack. If they don't follow this through earnestly, in fact, dare I say, if they don't table a bill in the coming sessions before the next elections, then the question will arise if all of this was only for momentum ahead of election. Along with that is the other big question. Is India truly ready for a uniform law? We'll take those questions to our guests in just a bit. Let me first bring to you the latest that has happened in the last 24 hours since the Prime Minister's big push for the UCC. Now, AAP has become the first non-NDA party to come out in full support of the UCC. This could mount pressure on others to make their stand clear, which they're dilly-dallying on. The AIM-PLB, as I mentioned, held a late-night meeting yesterday over this issue. They say it was already planned and was not triggered by the Prime Minister's statements. They have announced that they will submit their response in the first week of July, but they are opposed to the very idea as they have been in the past. Meanwhile, Law Commission has disclosed that they have received 8.5 lakh responses till yesterday on their public deliberation. And they've also clarified, because this question came up, what has changed and why is the Law Commission doing this again after 2018 report which said that this is not the time or there's no need for UCC. They have clarified that between 2018 and 2022, the commission was not functional. So when the new body was appointed, they took up this matter again, and that's why in June they asked for public responses. Now, many people suggest, including the AIM-PLB, that UCC is against Indian Constitution, but nothing could be further from the truth. The idea is very much enshrined in the Indian Constitution. Article 44 lays down that states shall endeavour to secure a UCC for citizens throughout the territory of India. What is the UCC? Basically, one law for all religious communities in personal matters such as marriage, divorce, inheritance, adoption, etc. This is one of the directive principles of state polity, which means that it may be not enforceable by court as it stands today, but the principles laid down are fundamental to govern. During the debates in the Constituent Assembly, this matter was discussed, and B.R. Ambedkar, one of the architects of the Indian Constitution, had opposed the delegates who wished to immortalize personal laws, especially Muslim representatives who showed themselves very attached to the Shariat law. This is what Ambedkar had said then. Do not understand why religion should be given vast jurisdiction. He said, we do have this power. We are having this liberty to reform our social system. The system is full of inequities, discrimination and other things. The system conflicts with our fundamental rights. He added that states shall endeavour to secure for citizens a UCC throughout India. But because there wasn't enough consensus at that time and it was a young nation gaining independence, it was left as a directive principle. And Ambedkar had even suggested that those who volunteer to be under a UCC can be considered first to begin with by a future government. Now, the Prime Minister mentioned yesterday how the Constitution and the Supreme Court have both asked for UCC, and he's right. I told you about the Constitution. Here is what the Supreme Court has said in the past. In 1985, during the Shah Bano case, which is one of the landmark cases in India, the SC had remarked that it is a matter of regret that Article 44 has remained a dead letter. Again, in Sarla Mudgal case in 1995, the Supreme Court urged then Prime Minister to secure a UCC. More recently, in 2023, the Supreme Court has said that there is no bar on states to set up a panel for UCC. And this question came up because BJP-ruled states were doing so. Also this year, though, the Supreme Court said that courts should not be seen as directing legislature to enact a law, suggesting it should very well come from Parliament. So the big debate that's coming up is basically this. Is India ready for a uniform code? And if there are still problems in certain sections accepting it, then what are the reasons behind it? That coming up in just a bit.
एक घर में परिवार के एक सदस्य के लिए एक कानून हो, परिवार के दूसरे सदस्य के लिए दूसरा कानून हो, तो क्या वो घर चल पाएगा क्या?
अरे उनको पूछो ना कि पहले रोजगार कैसे दोगे यार, महंगाई कैसे घटाओगे, पहले उस पर बात करो ना।
आज आम जनता के मुद्दे हैं महंगाई, भ्रष्टाचार, बेरोजगारी, किसान, ये आज जनता के मुद्दे हैं। कितने लोग समझते हैं यूसीसी? कितने आम जनता में से खड़े पूछो, कोई जानता है यूसीसी क्या होता है? ये जानते हैं?
सेक्शन 44 में जो आर्टिकल है वो भी पढ़ लेना चाहिए ना, संविधान के तहत।
ये एक ऐसा मुद्दा है जिस पर सभी विपक्षी दलों से, सभी संप्रदाय के लोगों से बैठकर बातचीत करके कंसेंसस और सबको एक मत में लाकर ही इसको आगे जाना चाहिए।
A warm welcome to our guest joining us, Shazia Ilmi of the BJP. Zakia Soman is activist who's been fighting for equal rights for Muslim women for many decades. Danish Qureshi is AIMIM leader, one of the parties opposed vociferously to the UCC. Ashwini Upadhyay is advocate in Supreme Court. He's been one of the petitioners asking for UCC via courts in the past. Shahid Ali is advocate and president, United Muslim Front. Let me go across to Zakia Soman first. Zakia ji, I said at the start of my show, the UCC issue should not become just about Muslims because it attracts unprecedented attention and scrutiny of the Muslim community, which should be avoided. But then how do you look at the opposition that is coming in from parties like the AIMIM and the AIM-PLB more particularly, because after several decades, they still continue to be opposed to the UCC?
So you're very right, Shivani, that the UCC concerns the entire country, irrespective of faith or ethnicity background. But nevertheless, it is made to appear to be like a Muslim issue only, mainly for two reasons. One is because it is part of the BJP's agenda, it's part of their electoral manifesto, and equally also because there has been a persistent resistance to reform of the Muslim personal law from the clergy and from the religious leadership. So it so happens that today, after 70 years of independence, only the Muslim women have been left out of the ambit of law. So they remain the worst sufferers. And when the Muslim women see codified Muslim family laws, this demand falls on deaf ears. Nobody pays any attention to that. And today, now, when there is a possibility of a code being brought about, any Muslim community people who want to participate, they are being sort of looked at suspiciously by the same conservative elements. So yeah, it is a kind of a self-created conundrum of our society and of our polity. It is very, very sad that we have continued to deny Muslim women their Quranic rights as well as their constitutional rights, and we have all gone ahead very happily, as though all is well.
Right. Before I bring in some of my other panelists as well, some of those who are opposed to the UCC, I want to understand from you, why is it that in 2023 we still have this kind of resistance? Why? What is the main issue here? Why do you think the clergymen, the Orthodox Muslim male controlling Muslim society don't want to see to this, despite the fact that times have changed so drastically? Zakia Soman, that's for you.
Yeah. So there are many, there are several reasons for that. One is that they are steeped into patriarchal thinking. Their mindsets are very, very conservative, misogynist. They genuinely believe that men are superior to women. In 2023, this is the mindset which dictates their actions, their statements, their conducts. That is a sad truth. We have to accept it. Secondly, they also fear that they are losing relevance because the world is changing, India is changing, all Indians are changing. That includes the Muslims also. The Muslims are also changing. We saw how the women-led movement against instant triple talaq was supported by one and all. Muslims as well as those who are not Muslims. In solidarity, everybody stood up. So they are not in tune with the ground realities. They are not in, they fail to understand the aspirations of young Muslim men and women. They have also somehow, the kind of politics which has taken place in our country in the name of secularism, as though only, favor you have to do to the minorities is, allow them to ill-treat the women, particularly the Muslim minority. So I'm very sorry to say that this is a very, very narrow meaning of secularism which has been applied in a country. As a result, any demand coming from Muslim women about justice, about gender equality, we saw it at the time of Shah Bano in 85, we saw it now in 2017 at the time of triple talaq. Nothing has changed.
Absolutely.
Because the moment the women demand justice, the bogey is raised that Sharia is in danger.
Or that is
how
it is
does
a conspiracy.
Sharia come into danger by giving giving Quranic rights and constitutional rights to women?
Yeah.
So
Zakia Somanji, you've raised very important points. I really don't want to get into the warped secularism that we've become used to in India, because I will not have enough time to get into that complex subject, because it's going to take forever. And also the debate over what is Quranic, what is not Quranic, because again, I don't feel that I can do that debate. And that we should do that debate today on a subject like this. This is not even about what is Quranic, frankly. It is just about what satisfies gender and equality laws for India as per the Constitution. But let me bring in Danish Qureshi. Danish Qureshi, the AIM, your party, even today, Asaduddin Owaisi curses the government for the abolition of instant triple talaq. The bodies like AIM, PLB have a horrendous record when it comes to standing up for Indian women, Indian Muslim women. Their stance on triple talaq, for example, in written affidavits were horrendous to say the least. What explains this? Why is it that you continue to keep Muslim communities separate from the others when this UCC will apply to everybody? Danish Qureshi, that question is for you. Not sure he can hear me. Can I go across to Shahid Ali? Shahid Ali, can you hear me?
Yes,
yeah.
yes,
Would you like to take that question? What explains this resistance to UCC?
In fact, my take on to the issue is that diversity is the soul of India, soul of our constitution. Diversity, in fact, this the act of bringing or declaring that we will bring UCC is an attack on the soul, very soul of India, is an attack on the Constitution of India, is an attack on the fundamental rights enshrined in the Constitution. And Kamal ki baat ye hai ki the peoples are talking about directive principles. How directive principles can have supremacy over fundamental rights? Absolutely cannot be. Now, in fact, only 3 weeks till 3 weeks ago, this was the stand of Government of India that UCC is not required. They filed an affidavit for the Honorable Supreme Court, and one of the co-panelists was a petitioner therein. The petition was dismissed as withdrawn. Now, just after 3 weeks, because the Karnataka they have lost. Karnataka they have lost. Their intentions are not to bring UCC. Their intentions are just to play the communal card.
But why is this communal? That's what I'm trying to understand
garner
from you.
support of the voters.
Shahid Ali, I don't want to get into the timing bit. Shahid Ali, one second. I don't want to get into the timing bit because no matter when this would have been done, the debate has remained consistent. Let's not fool ourselves that this has anything to do with timing. But anyways, I want to understand from you, why is UCC
who has given
communal?
communal color?
Why is
Honorable
UCC
Prime Minister of India has given communal color to this.
Who has given?
That is what I am saying. The Prime Minister himself. Prime Minister himself has given communal color to this UCC by saying that the Muslims will oppose, or the Muslims should not oppose, or Muslims should not be
But is he
confused by
not
anyone.
accurate?
So his intentions, or he has made it very, very clear to all public, all people of India, that UCC he is bringing is against the Muslims. So he himself is playing the communal card, none else. And moreover, what is the necessity of UCC in our country? When we have the laws, we have Domestic Violence Act, which is applicable upon all. We have Special Marriage Act, which is applicable upon all. We have Indian Majority Act, which is applicable upon all. We have Indian Succession Act, which is applicable upon all. Now,
what
is
about
the
the age of marriage?
In fact, if you will understand, yes, absolutely. That is 18 years. And Honorable Supreme Court is seized of the matter because Punjab and Haryana High Court and in one of the matter, Delhi High Court has said that the Muslim girl may marry even before that. So that matter.
That's because Shariat applies today. Once the UCC applies, that wouldn't be the case. That's because Muslims want to be ruled by the Shariat Act.
Give me 30 more seconds.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Give me 30 more seconds. In fact, this is the acts which I have named. That is the matter of choice of the people living in India. If they want to get their marriage registered in Special Marriage Act, they may do so. If they want to take benefit of this Indian Majority Act, they may do so. If they want to take benefit of any other act, which are Indian Succession Act, Indian Majority Act, Domestic Violence Act.
But why are you not listening to somebody like Zakia Soman who is saying that in the Muslim community, Muslim women also need the protection of the same standards that apply to other women? Why are you saying if you want these protections, please go to other refuge of other acts? If other acts are okay, then please accept those as fundamental principles.
That is already available.
Yes, so then what's the problem with UCC?
State should not force. State should not kill the diversity.
Okay, on the issue of diversity, I want to go across to Ashwini Upadhyay. Ashwini Upadhyay, we heard Asaduddin Owaisi also make the same arguments yesterday that UCC is against Indian diversity and pluralism. You've been wanting to respond to him. Can I have your response to everything that Asaduddin Owaisi said, and let's say those who are opposed to UCC are saying today?
देखिए शिवानी जी, आप एंकर हैं, आपको वेतन भत्ता किस लिए मिलता है? एंकरिंग करने के लिए। ऐसे जो डॉक्टर होता है उसको वेतन भत्ता किस लिए मिलता है? इलाज करने के लिए। जो ड्राइवर है उसको वेतन भत्ता किस लिए मिलता है? गाड़ी चलाने के लिए। इसी तरीके से सांसदों को वेतन भत्ता, गाड़ी, बंगला, फ्री एयर टिकट, फ्री रेल टिकट, आजीवन पेंशन, खाना बनाने के लिए, सिक्योरिटी के लिए जो सारी व्यवस्था मिलती है, दिल्ली में बड़ा सा बंगला मिलता है, वो किस लिए मिलता है? कानून बनाने के लिए। फीता काटना, बतौलेबाजी करना, भाषण देना सांसदों का मुख्य काम नहीं है। मुख्य काम है कानून बनाना। और किसके अनुसार कानून बनाना? जिसकी वो शपथ लेते हैं। शपथ किसकी लेते हैं? संविधान की लेते हैं। संविधान में शपथ क्या लेते हैं? मैं इस कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में जो कुछ लिखा हुआ एक एक बात को मानूंगा, उसी के अनुसार बिहेवियर करूंगा, उसी के अनुसार कार्य करूंगा। तो चाहे असदुद्दीन ओवैसी हो या और भी XYZ जो भी लॉ मेकर है, जो पार्लियामेंटेरियन है, जिसने संविधान की शपथ लिया है, अगर वो यूसीसी का विरोध कर रहा है, वो अगर संविधान में लिखे हुए किसी भी आर्टिकल का विरोध कर रहा है, आर्टिकल 44 की मैं नहीं कर रहा हूं, किसी भी आर्टिकल का अगर विरोध कर रहा है, तो याद करिए वो अपनी ड्यूटी के साथ मक्कारी कर रहा है। वो उसको जिस काम के लिए वेतन भत्ता मिलता है, एक तरीके से वो अपने लिए हरामखोरी कर रहा है। मैं ये शब्द बहुत
Be careful with language, please. Yes.
अगर ड्राइवर अपना काम नहीं करेगा, तो हम कहते हैं ना हरामखोरी कर रहा है। तो स्वाभाविक सी बात, सांसदों को संविधान में लिखी हुई एक एक बात को लागू करना उनकी ड्यूटी है। अब आता हूं मूल विषय पे। अभी हमारे सामने एग्जांपल दिया गया कि नहीं, संविधान कहता है हमको धार्मिक स्वतंत्रता है।
yes.
तो यूसीसी का मैटर धार्मिक स्वतंत्रता का मामला ही नहीं है। प्रियम्बल में 3 तरीके का जस्टिस है: सोशल जस्टिस, इकोनॉमिक जस्टिस, पॉलिटिकल जस्टिस। ये जो यूसीसी है, न पॉलिटिकल जस्टिस का मामला है, न इकोनॉमिक जस्टिस का मामला है, प्योरली ये सोशल जस्टिस का मामला है। सोशल जस्टिस का मतलब ये हुआ कि देश की सभी बहन बेटियों को एक समान अधिकार मिलना चाहिए। अगर शिवानी जी 4 बहनें हैं तो चारों बहनों का इक्वल राइट होना चाहिए। अगर मेरी 4 बेटियां हैं और वो एक हिंदू से शादी करे, एक मुस्लिम से शादी करे, एक पारसी से शादी करे, एक ईसाई से शादी करे, तो शादी के बाद भी उनके इक्वल राइट होने चाहिए। सिविल राइट में बदलाव होना नहीं चाहिए। अब यूसीसी से क्या होगा इसको समझिए। यूसीसी से देश की सभी बहन बेटियों की शादी की जो मिनिमम एज है वो इक्वल हो जाएगी। इसमें धर्म कहां से आ गया, मजहब कहां से आ गया? यूसीसी आने के बाद सबको अपनी शादी का रजिस्ट्रेशन करवाना पड़ेगा। इसमें मजहब कहां से आ गया? यूसीसी के बाद ग्राउंड्स ऑफ डिवोर्स, प्रोसीजर ऑफ डिवोर्स सबके लिए एक समान हो जाएगा। अगर कोड होने पे डिवोर्स होगा तो सबका होगा, नपुंसकता के आधार पर डिवोर्स होगा तो सबका होगा, बाजपन के आधार पर डिवोर्स होगा तो सबका होगा। इसमें धर्म का क्या लेना देना? अगर यूसीसी आएगा प्रोसीजर ऑफ डिवोर्स कॉमन हो जाएगा। कोर्ट के जरिए होगा, निगोशिएशन के जरिए होगा, बातचीत के जरिए होगा, जो भी प्रोसेस होगा वो सबके लिए होगा, अलग अलग नहीं होगा। यूसीसी आएगा, गुजारा भत्ता सबको मिलेगा। अब ये बताइए, अगर गुजारा भत्ता गुजर बसर करने के लिए देश की सभी बेटियों को एक जैसा मिलने लग जाएगा, फार्मूला एक हो जाएगा, इसमें कहां से दिक्कत आ गई? यूसीसी आएगा, गोद लेने का अधिकार देश की सभी बेटियों को मिल जाएगा, बच्चे के भरण पोषण का सबको इक्वल राइट हो जाएगा।
वो कह रहे हैं डाइवर्सिटी बहुत जरूरी है, सबके अपने अलग अलग कस्टम्स होते हैं और हिंदुओं में भी कुछ लोगों को ऑब्जेक्शन है। बिल्कुल, मैं आपको टाइम देती हूँ। मैं बस ये बोलना चाह रही हूँ कि सिर्फ मुसलमानों की बात नहीं है, और ये मैं रिपीट करना चाह रही हूँ, हिंदू कम्युनिटी में भी लोग हैं जो ऑब्जेक्ट करते हैं यूसीसी में। उनको डर लगता है कि उनके कस्टम्स खत्म हो जाएंगे।
नहीं, कुछ नहीं खत्म होगा शिवानी जी। यूसीसी आने से सक्सेशन इनहेरिटेंस का इक्वल राइट हो जाएगा, यानी विरासत का अधिकार, वसीयत का अधिकार सबको एक समान हो जाएगा। एक पति एक पत्नी का नियम सबके लिए लागू हो जाएगा। हम दो हमारे दो सबके लिए लागू हो जाएगा। माता पिता के जो पेरेंट्स केयर होता है, पेरेंट्स केयर का राइट सबको मिल जाएगा। मुझे समझ में नहीं आ रहा इसमें हिंदू मुस्लिम कहां से आ गया। ये रिलीजियस राइट का मामला नहीं है। रिलीजियस राइट एज इट इज रहेगा, अजान वैसे ही होती रहेगी, नमाज वैसे ही होती रहेगी, जो कब्रिस्तान में दफनाते हैं वैसे ही दफनाएंगे, 7 फेरे वैसे ही होते रहेंगे, मंदिर में वैसे ही जाएंगे, जनेऊ वैसे ही पहनेंगे, तिलक वैसे ही लगाएंगे, चर्च की प्रेयर एज इट इज होगी, गुरुद्वारे में जो अरदास होती है एज इट इज होगी। धार्मिक मामला नहीं है। धार्मिक मामला कंप्लीटली डिफरेंट होता है।
Absolutely. No, this is an accepted position. This is an accepted position. And I go back across to Danish Ali, who couldn't hear me earlier. Danish ji, can you hear me now? Yes. Danish Qureshi. Yeah. It is a stated position that actually the right to freedom of religion and professing religion or practicing religion are not in danger. Neither is secularism in danger because of a UCC. But your party insists that this is anti-Muslim. Can you explain that stance? How is it anti-Muslim particularly?
देखिए, अश्विनी जी के सबसे पहले सवाल का मैं जवाब दूं। उन्होंने ये कहा कि उनकी अगर एक बहन है जो हिंदू है, एक मुसलमान है, एक कोई और धर्म से, एक और धर्म से, तो जब सवाल ये है कि सब अलग अलग धर्म से हैं, तो फिर इक्वालिटी कहां से आएगी? मुझे ये तो समझ में नहीं आता। दूसरे नंबर की बात उन्होंने कही कि डेमोक्रेसी के अंदर
आर्टिकल 14।
अरे आप बोल रहे थे, अब मैं सुन रहा था, आप मुझे सुन लीजिए।
दानिश जी की बात खत्म होने दीजिए, then you can raise some objections if you want. Yes,
अब सवाल आती है डेमोक्रेसी की। उन्होंने ये कहा कि यहाँ सबकी जिम्मेदारी है, ड्राइवर का काम ड्राइवरी करना है, और जिसके काम है सबकी जिम्मेदारी। लेकिन सबसे सुपीरियर जो है देश में, हमारे यहाँ डेमोक्रेसी में आवाम सबसे सुपीरियर है। याद रखिए, हमने 125 करोड़ आबादी इसलिए चुन के रखी है क्योंकि सारे के सारे लोग पार्लियामेंट में नहीं जा सकते, लेकिन वो वहां जाके आप अपनी मनमानी करेंगे ऐसा जरूरी नहीं है। मुझे ये लगता है कि अगर किसी को परेशानी है तो मैं ये कहता हूं कि आवाम रेफरेंडम ले ले, चाहे मुसलमानों का ले ले, चाहे गैर मुसलमानों का ले ले। और बात आप इक्वालिटी की बात करते हैं तो मैं तो ये कहता हूं कि 50% महिला आरक्षण का अभी तक नरेंद्र मोदी सरकार ने कुछ नहीं कहा कि आप वहां महिलाओं को देना नहीं चाहते, आप अकेले सिर्फ मुसलमानों की बात करेंगे। तो दिक्कत क्या है?
नहीं, ये मुसलमानों की बात कैसे है? नहीं, वन सेकेंड, आप रेटोरिक कर रहे हैं। पहली बात तो रिजर्वेशन से इसको कंपेयर मत कीजिए, बहुत डिफरेंट कॉन्सेप्ट है।
क्यों नहीं करिए? उसमें महिलाओं की समानता नहीं है
दानिश जी। आप रिजर्वेशन को और यूनिफॉर्म कोड को आप कैसे कंपेयर कर सकते हैं? द होल आइडिया इज कंप्लीटली डायमेट्रिकली ऑपोजिट।
शिवानी मुझे ये बताइए, क्या महिलाओं को 50% आरक्षण नहीं मिलना चाहिए?
अरे बात वो नहीं है, आप समझिए।
क्यों नहीं? यही बात नहीं है
दानिश कुरैशी।
नहीं, बात ये नहीं है।
नहीं, इट्स नॉट द इशू। यू कैन नॉट कंपेयर रिजर्वेशन with uniform code.
Why?
Reservation is given. One second. I'll tell you why. Reservation is an affirmative action that is for the most oppressed in society. It's a completely separate argument than having
minute,
uniform
Shivani ji.
civil code for all citizens, please.
No,
But I want to understand from you. 1 second. No, please. Let's not be facetious with the debate. I want to understand from you. You keep repeating that this is against Muslims. Can you explain to me how? This is not against Hindus. This is not against Christians.
It is
this
all
is
about
not
my
against
constitution.
Parsis.
Remember-
This is against Muslims alone. Explain to me.
No, this is not about Muslims and all. This is all about the culture which we get from the Constitution of India. Why they want to discriminate that?
But it comes from the Constitution, UCC.
Why should I UCC? Why should I get UCC? Why should I don't oppress that?
Okay, all right. Shazia Ilmi has been waiting. Let me go across to Shazia Ilmi. How do you look at these opposition to the UCC, Shazia? I really want to reiterate, I do not like making this about the Muslim community. But unfortunately, as Zakia Soman also said, the staunchest opposition comes from the Muslim community. It becomes about the Muslim community.
Shivani, all that I've heard so far from those who are opposing UCC is just one falsehood after the other. You tell me, Shivani, and I would like the panelists also later to answer, if something is good for Muslim sisters and daughters, how is it against Muslims? Are Muslim girls not equal to Muslim men? Are there any less citizens? Are there any less religious entities? And are you making that comparison because of the gender differences? So if something is being done, which let's presume, that is also a lie. That is only for Muslim women. But if Muslim women are benefiting, how is that in any way an issue? How is that in any way come in the way of Muslim rights? And
But
Muslim
maybe they don't trust the BJP's intentions. Shazia Ilmi, I'm losing your frame again and again, but I'll persist. Maybe they don't trust the BJP's intentions. And because, as Zakia said, it comes from the BJP, that's why they oppose. Because they feel threatened by the BJP.
Exactly. So let me come in. First of all, this is enshrined in the constitution of our country. Those who believe in the constitution will want it. Those who believe in gender justice, they will believe it. This is a promise of the constitution. This is the real Azadi. And it has yet to be achieved until this is done. Let me make it very clear. And this is for women across the religions. It's for our Sikh sisters, Parsi sisters, Christian sisters. Why these men are speaking up and talking utter nonsense, it's because they're looking at a vote bank politics, which is exactly what has been in play during the Triple Talaq judgment and Shabano. It has nothing to do with either Quran or the Constitution. They know in the heart of hearts that it is the need of the day. Tell me, do the lives of any Indian Muslim or the diverse nature of Indian beings get jeopardized by the criminal law, by IPC? Those laws remain the same. Why do they raise heckles when it comes to women per se, the daughters and sisters?
Okay.
Tell me, and there's no jeopardy when it comes to the IPC, right? All Indian Muslims believe in that.
No, I find it also very interesting. I also find it interesting that Shahid is saying that if you want protections of good gender neutral and gender equality laws or for progressive laws, those laws exist. You please take shelter and refuge under those laws, but don't change our laws.
Absolutely. Beyond the social structure of a society and the religious scriptures and whatever there is for the Indian woman, the law has to be the recourse, a savior. When the society fails her or a family fails her or the overall social structure fails her, it has to be the Indian
I have only limited time to take final comments from everyone. I'll give 30 seconds. Shazia, I'll begin with you. Don't you think that now it is important for the BJP government to follow through? Because if you raise this now, but you dilly-dally and tither on it, then the allegation will be proved true that you raise it periodically because of elections.
That is not true. And the history of this, the bill and BJP's commitment to it is very clear. Some of us are attracted to BJP because of this. And I feel this is a promise of the Constitution. Two, I think just like the Congress party caved and succumbed to Muslim clergy, which actually went against the word of even Quran, which they repeated during Triple Talaq because they actually were inciting something or invoking something that was not part of the Quran.
Okay.
Similarly, now this is constitutionally correct, and the position and the stated position of B.R. Ambedkar and even Nehru, who stood for it, which is why it is part of the directive principles
I don't want to get into what is Quranic and what is not, because I think that's fundamentally a debate that the Muslim community needs to
No,
have.
I can tell you because
I get that, but I'm just saying I don't want to get into that because everything cannot be looked at as from what is Quranic in a secular country, because we cannot make laws only according to that. But anyways, Danish Qureshi, 30 seconds to you. How do you plan to take your opposition forward to UCC? The government hasn't said they're bringing it, but the government has initiated a discussion on it. What's the problem with that?
No, yes, government can have the discussion on it. That is not a problem. But we will stay opposed, and whatever we can represent in the parliament, our party will.
Don't you feel that you would be seen? Don't you fear that you would be seen as anti-women if you take that stance?
No, this is all about our community, and I think community is with us.
The community is with you. Shahid Ali, you want to add something to that?
मैं सिर्फ इतनी बात कहना चाहता हूं, हमारे देश में जहां पर हर 15 किलोमीटर पर जबान चेंज हो जाती है, कल्चर चेंज हो जाता है, लोगों का कस्टम चेंज हो जाता है, उस समाज में, उस देश की रू डाइवर्सिटी है, और डाइवर्सिटी की वजह से ही हमारा देश लगातार तरक्की करता जा रहा है। इस डाइवर्सिटी को खत्म करने की कोशिश की जा रही है। ये अटैक है डाइवर्सिटी पे, ये अटैक है देश की रूह पर, देश के सोल पर। ये नहीं होना चाहिए किसी भी तरह से।
ओके, अश्विनी उपाध्याय, 30 seconds. I'll give final word to Zakir Sumar.
शिवानी जी, टैक्स लॉ सबके लिए कॉमन है, प्रॉपर्टी का लॉ सबके लिए कॉमन है, एजुकेशन लॉ सबके लिए कॉमन है, और जहां तक ये लोग बार बार आर्टिकल 25 की दुहाई दे रहे हैं और प्लुरलिटी की दुहाई दे रहे हैं, हमारा कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन आर्टिकल 25 प्रथा को प्रोटेक्ट करता है, कुप्रथा को नहीं। रीतियों को प्रोटेक्ट करता है, कुरीतियों को नहीं। धर्म पालन का अधिकार देता है, धर्मांतरण का नहीं। ये 3 तलाक, हलाला, 4 शादी, मुता, मिस्यार, तहर्रुस, दारुल कजा, ये तलाके हसन, तलाके हसन, तलाके बाइन, तलाके किनाया, ये सब कुछ जो है ना, ये कुप्रथा है। इसको सुप्रीम कोर्ट बिल्कुल एक्सेप्ट नहीं करता, संविधान इसकी बिल्कुल इजाजत नहीं देता। ये अरब का संविधान नहीं, भारत का संविधान है। ये अमेरिका का नहीं, भारत का संविधान है। और भारत की संस्कृति क्या है? नारी तू नारायणी, सबका साथ, सबका विकास, वसुधैव कुटुंबकम। तो स्वाभाविक सी बात है, देश की सभी बहन बेटियों को इक्वल राइट मिलना चाहिए।
Okay, but let's not. I also feel that we should not just make this about women. This is just about the fact that all citizens in India deserve to have common laws, and not just about women alone, although women form a very important part of this debate. Zakir Soman, let me give you the final 30 seconds. The argument also is, and has been, as you would know, for the last 30-40 years, is that let there be the right time and let there be consensus. But can there be consensus on an issue like this, or is that a diversionary tactic?
So there is nothing called the right time for gender justice, because such is the nature of patriarchal society that the time is never right. But I would say that we should have justice and equality at the core of this deliberation, and the responsibility lies with the government to make it inclusive, in-depth, collaborative, and as genuinely as that can be done. Diversity should be upheld, pluralism should be upheld, but no unfair and discriminatory practices can be allowed to continue in the name of diversity. You cannot have diversity in, injustice and doing atrocity to women and to people of all genders. So I think the heart of this discussion should be gender justice and gender equality.
All right, fair enough. I do thank all of our guests for joining us. This is, of course, something that we will debate as weeks progress, because all religious organizations and others are submitting their responses to the Law Commission.